Okay, a very good evening and welcome to Vaidya's Chess Hub, and it's the lecture for the above 1400 students, and we are going to go through four study games, and I have no doubt that the seniors will learn a lot from these four games that I've shortlisted for today. There are other things we will talk about. There probably would be a very important issue to tackle. The one concerning creation of new IDs. That's it's an important thing, okay? Creation of new IDs. You should not create new IDs every now and then. That's something for which OJS gets criticized a lot. You all know that. Let's not follow suit. There are some students, some tired why they make new IDs. We want to talk about that. During the course of this hour, I would definitely make sure that we'll talk about this. Datta is here, Vihang is here, Saumitra is here, Itesh is here, Chinmay is here, Jay is here. Wonderful, brilliant. And well, yeah, sure, you have ads. Watch them. We will start with a game where it's win for white. That's the first game. Again, when I give you the time, you should make sure that the the time is used properly. The thinking time must be utilized properly. Give me a complete variation there. Up until that time, I think it is okay to for me to sort out the issue of IDs there. Make sure, guys, that you don't misuse your IDs. I'm very keen on this. I don't want guys to misuse their accounts and then tell me that such a thing happened and so I had to create a new ID. It doesn't look cool at all. So be honest while playing. Play with one or maybe at the most two IDs. I'll talk about myself. I've just got two IDs and they are with me for years now. Not days, not weeks, not months, years. Please make sure that you maintain one constant ID. Your ID is an indicator and you yourself lose a lot of data. If you keep switching from one account to another account, you lose a lot of data and that's not something that you want. So please, I urge all of you to play with one ID. Well, okay, at the most you can have the second one like I do for as a practice account or something. But that's it. You should not go on creating accounts. I will not approve a lot of IDs unnecessarily. Play with integrity. Leeches does take action on anything that is not allowed or where there is zero tolerance. So make sure that you just play using one ID or at the most two IDs, as I said. Okay. All right. Uh, let's start with the first game here. The first game is where the game opened with d4, d5, c4, the queen's gambit, and c5. One such game, I believe, is what we saw the last time. But now comes the difference. Last time, if you remember, white had not played e3. It was pawns exchange. Rather, white took but black pushed the pawn or something like that. e3, c takes d4, c takes d5, queen a5 check. So if you are wondering, sir, why did he not just go about making the capture? The idea is, of course, to make the capture, but maybe not in a direct way. Okay. Yeah, Dishan, you have two IDs, which is fine. Yeah. Now, queen d2 to block the check. I like this idea. The point is now if black goes about just exchanging, then he will not have the opportunity to capture the pawn. See, this is what I'm talking about. Small things here and there. He blocked it with the queen. Normally you would have it blocked with the bishop, is it not? But now white realizes that what black wants to accomplish is the recapture of the pawn on d5, and therefore, you just utilize that by playing queen d2, maybe give queen some square on the second rank, Follow it up with long castle, a long-term goal. If not long castling, then at least rook ad1, something like that, long-term perspective. What did black do? Black took the pawn, of course, had to equalize in material, and now white has taken the pawn back on d4. Now this is what is known as an isolated pawn. I'm sure everybody who is above 1400 should know this and does know this. The pawn on d4 for white is known as an isolated pawn. Now why is that isolated pawn? Because there is no white pawn on the E or the C file. That is the reason why you call the pawn on d4 as an isolated pawn, meaning a pawn does not support another pawn. So, if you have to support that pawn and provide support for that d4 pawn, you have to employ a piece for that. Pawns are not going to support that. Okay. You have knight c6. I've always said this. You are above 1400, but don't lose out on your basics. What are the basics? Whenever your opponent plays something, you have to ask yourself, what was the last move? What are the intentions? Here clearly your pawn on d4 has been attacked twice now. You have it defended once, got to do something about that. White did exactly that. Bishop to f5. Maybe black is preparing long castle. Knight to c3, gaining initiative on the queen. So queen had to move. Queen a5. Bishop b5, pinning the knight. So the idea looks very simple. If now black goes for long castling, then after bishop takes c6, it has to be b takes c6. And you can have an isolated pawn. You can give black an isolated pawn on the c6 square, which is not a great thing, especially if black goes for the queen side castling. Just remember this. And white now, by playing bishop b5, white has also created his chances. He could also, castle short. So this game is going to be interesting. How many of you, before I proceed, you are above 1400 guys? Now this will be a real test of how much of an Arjun are you. Okay, I repeat, a test of how much of a great Arjun are you, because your coach is going to ask you something. Look at the position that you have at the moment on the board, black's position, and can you tell me a term I taught you in the last week? Let's see who is the first to tell me that. I think Swaroop has just joined us. Hey Swaroop, welcome. So quickly, let's see who is the first to type it. There's something we talked about last week. And let's see how many, or rather who is the first to tell me what it is that I taught you the last time. Look at black's position and tell me. Saumitra, as usual, the first. Saumitra remembers it. It's a new thing I told you. Lopsided development as another classic example of that. Vyang is also right. Lopsided development. Excellent. So black has probably not even done anything at all in this game. This pawn on e7, f7, g7, h7, everything intact, too focused on the queen side development, and I'm sure white is going to exploit that. So you can make a note of that, is opening weakness of lopsided development exploited. This is the first game. Let's see what happens here. Finally a move for the king side, e6. Finally, so black did not castle because we all knew bishop takes c6 was going to be black, losing the game, or at least have a worse position. Let's see how many people remember here an important principle of what can be the potential move here. There are things that are taught to you as a beginner, and as an intermediate player, you must ensure that you don't forget those things. By the way, there is no lag. So those who have the lag, you probably suffer net issues from your side. There is no lag at all. Not even a slight one. There is no lag at all. Anyway, coming to the point. So I was saying that the principle that they teach you at the opening, rather when you are a very let's say an advanced beginner at best, is when you have a piece that's pinned, you have to attack the pinned piece more. Okay, when a piece is pinned, you have to attack a pinned piece more. As a fundamental principle, you have to remember that. That's why it's good that now you are getting lectures in isolation, like over 1400, over 1400. Just concretize what you learn here. If you have a piece that's pinned, you got to attack it more, because that gives you that much of initiative and tempo. Knight e5, castling, even for that matter d5 are all good moves here. Make no mistake, d5 is also a good move here. Let's see what happened in the game. Castling, not knight e5, not d5 push, but castling. Okay, I would have really loved it had white rather won the game quickly by knight e5 or d5. D5 is also very good, by the way. The reason why that is good is I'll quickly show you the line, because I'm sure you're wondering, sir, why d5? I mean, pawn takes pawn. It's just as simple as that. By the way, you don't just immediately recapture. You give a queen e2 check, clearing the line for the bishop. And at the same time, let's say, now what's black going to do? Maybe bishop e7. I think that's the best. And now after that, you have a move like bishop d2. You have your options open. You want to castle either side. Knight will move with a discovered threat. The bishop is protected, by the way, by the queen here. That's not a problem. So knight is free to move anywhere. Knight has a free move now. So I would have loved it had white played something aggressive, but okay, castling also makes sense. Rook d8. Still no move for the king side pieces. Black is heavily concentrating on winning that isolated pawn. Too much of an investment. Finally, that move, knight to knight e5, pinning rather attacking the pinned knight on c6. Knight ge7, and when you see such moves over the board, you can be sure that your position is good. I mean, look at the board. The moment you see your opponent playing something like this, you should know that you are doing well. There's no doubt about it. Always remember this. There is something called as chess psychology, and it's very important, guys. Your opponent also thinks about his own position. So whenever your opponent looks at his own position and say, how cramped is my position? My rook on h8, what's it going to do in this game? What's my bishop now on f8 supposed to do? Where am I supposed to now, contemplate castling? Well, now it is out of question that rook has moved. But this is very important, that you have to understand that this psychology works both sides, both ways. White must be happy that yes, black's position is cramped, and you should know that black player is also aware that my position isn't the best in the world. Okay, so now attack it more, and this is the turning point of the match. What a move this is. And I'm going to now stop here. I'll give you the time now to think. Why is knight d5 such a cracking move? It is a wonderful move. It is really, the last nail in the coffin, or whatever you want to say. How quickly did white exploit this weakness? Knight ge7. By the way, you don't have to mention knight ge7 because that knight on c6 is pinned. So you don't have to say knight ge7 essentially. Knight e7 is enough because the other knight simply cannot move. There's an absolute pin there. Your job is to tell me the line here. So why is knight d5 such a class act? Just go for some lines here. Let's see who thinks first. Jay with a super sharp idea. If queen takes d2, then knight c7 is mate. So Mitra also did spot that. And what a lovely checkmate that will be. I'm telling you. So guys, seniors have said the first thing. Well, let's calculate here. That's not the only thing black could play. What else? What else does black play with knight to d5? Queen b6. Well, knight takes b6, obviously. Queen c7. Well, knight takes c7 will be mate. Instead of knight c7, it will be knight takes c7 mate. Can black manage any counterplay? Let's say rook d7. Yeah, so Sarup is right. What about rook d7? Hi. Is it Mohit Patel or is it Avdut Patel? I always get confused. Sarla Patel is the ID. Is that Avdut or? All right. Dishan says if queen takes b5, then 2 knight c7 is made, and also with a fork. Guys, somebody give me the retaliation. Oh, that's Mohit. Okay. Somebody give me the retaliation for rook d7. Swaroop here in this position would have played rook d7. What say about rook d7? You're losing the queen. No, not quite, because knight then supports the queen. After rook d7, the knight is not pinned. So bishop takes c6. Then knight takes c6. How does that help? Oh, Samuel is with us, who is asking a question. He's asking, what about birds opening? Super sharp. Birds opening is super sharp, although not recommended until you know the complete theory, or rather reasonable theory, because it's quite double-edged. I mean, coach will not recommend going f4 the first move unless you know the coordination that is required to play that kind of opening, the birds opening. Yeah. This one you should ask Samuel, where are you from? Not who are you? That's not the thing. You should ask Samuel, where are you from? That's probably the right question to ask. Okay, let's show you what's going to happen. Well, the queen moves anywhere. It doesn't matter. It's just knight c7 checkmate. That's what we have seen. In fact, queen taking our queen is also knight c7 mate. Doesn't matter. Don't bother recapturing the queen. What's up? The knight is already pinned, so knight has no moves here. Now let us talk about the move rook d7. Now, all those who are saying that maybe bishop takes c6, I believe Saumitra was saying bishop takes c6 is good here, but well, that's not good here. I might, give you a minute for this. Bishop takes c6 isn't the best move here. That's no good. Well, he is from Switzerland. Okay, such a beautiful country. You are welcome. A big namaste to you. And by the way, you are from Switzerland. Please tell us, how about the COVID vaccination program in Switzerland? Have they started the vaccination for COVID-19 thing? What's the position there? Samuel, please tell us. Share the position. How is it like there? Huh? Anyway, so bishop takes c6 is not the idea. The correct way to go in this position is queen takes a5 and get the exchange. Well, that's the better idea. The point is, after queen takes a5, yes, the rook is there, so the knight is not pinned. You would have knight takes a5, but then bishop takes d7 is just so pretty. King d8 is forced here, the knight supporting it, remember. And now you can either bring the bishop back. I suggest you do that. If I'm not wrong, we can put this in the engine that even knight takes f7 check is winning here. Okay, no doubt about that. All right, so this is interesting, and in fact, after knight d5, black just resigned the game. That's it. He just saw what was coming up and he resigned. Now, if not rook d7, there is another thing that black can try, which is go for straight rook takes d5. I wonder you didn't think of that. The point being, after queen takes a5, you can then go for bishop e4 and maybe get some counterplay, maybe f6. Of course, there is no doubt that white is winning, but at least there's a piece there. Anyway, rook d7 by far is the best try in this position. Let's take a look at it again before we proceed to the next game, by the way. D4, D5, C4, C5, and now E3. Pawns, isolated pawn on D4. Bishop F5, knight to C3, initiative on the queen. Bishop B5, if now black long castles, bishop takes C6, B takes C6. Black will have an isolated C pawn. At this position, we were talking about lopsided development, and look how it spelled disaster for black. Knight E5, always, always, always attack a pinned piece more. And when you have this position on the board, the position is very cramped and you have to exploit such a position. Samuel is saying, yes, it has started, but only for the people who are older than 75. So they go first. That brings to my mind a question, Samuel, how old are you? Okay. Older than 75 are getting priority in Switzerland. I think that's a nice idea. It's good that the entire world is now, recovering. Fantastic. Omkar sir, yeah, sure, he will be happy to receive your papers, guys, your answer papers there. By the way, today is the last date. A gentle reminder again for those who have not yet submitted their answer papers to me. Do it by EOD, that is end of day. Omkar sir will be very happy to get all the, question papers from you. In time, that is. And Vihang, Master Vihang has done it. Not in Lakshadweep. Okay. This one is saying not in Lakshadweep. And why? Why are you saying that? Continue. Knight D5. Coup de grace, the final blow. Next game, please. Now, the next game, I'm going to flip the board for that because it's from the black perspective. It's a win by black. Is the English opening. And black responded with the move knight F6. White played knight C3. Black played D5. C takes D5, knight takes D5, and E4. It is always important not to let the opponent's queen get centralized on D5. So white must not make this capture knight takes D5 and should allow black queen takes D5, because then this queen just gets centralized. You don't have the knight to attack the queen anymore. So don't allow your opponent's pieces to be centralized that way. That's not fair. Samuel says, I'm 20 years old and thank you for sharing your opinion to 1E4 with me. You are always welcome, Samuel. By the way, since you are so curious about the bird's opening, can I assume, Samuel, that you play 1F4 regularly? I just have this question in my mind. Since you ask about it, whoa, are you a player who employs the bird's opening? Let me know. Alright, guys. So never allow this exchange and allow the opponent to have a good centralized queen. So rightly, white just played E4. Black continued knight to B4. Now, this is in the spirit of the Alekhine defense, moving the knight over and over again. Not recommended. Knight takes C3 would have been better any day. I would have played that. But knight B4 is not a blunder here. It is good. You all know now that this is a very common idea. It's queen check, and then on the fourth rank, this always happens. So now there is only one way, rather two ways. Guys, there are two ways you can save the knight there. There are two ways you can save this knight now. Somebody said E5. Okay, E4, E5. Soumitra was responding to something else. The two ways to save the knight here are very simple. Either you play knight 8 C6 or you play knight 4 C6. And let's see what black chose here. Develop another piece. Bring another piece in the game. Well, why not, sir? Why not? Bring another piece in the game. White played d4. You all know that the idea of this push is to push it one more time and attack the pinned piece more. I'm sure you also are, thinking about why not just take that pawn? Sure, right? Why not take that pawn? I think white will gain a huge lead in development if black takes that pawn. Let's see if white goes about taking this pawn with the queen. After bishop e3, black's really struggling to find a good square for the queen. For example, let's say if queen f6, some meaningful square, then after knight a3, our poor knight on b4 comes back on on a6, and then bishop takes a6, b takes a6, knight d5, attacking c7. So maybe there is queen d6, bishop f4. This looks hopeless for black. Guys, this is how you probably should think about this line. This didn't happen in the game, but just take a look at how in a proper sequence black will be annihilated. d4 is a very good push. Should black take that, then there is bishop e3. Queen f6, probably putting the queen on a good square. And then after this knight exchange, or rather bishop to knight exchange, knight d5 is so powerful. Attacking the queen, hitting c7. And whichever way you defend now, by the way, you can do that on e5 as well. Whichever way you choose to defend, seriously, this is, yeah. Oh, my surmise was on the point there. Samuel says that, yeah, I play it very often. I play one f4, then usually black's response is d5. So then I play knight f3, then e3 to control the black squares. That is the correct idea to play the bird's opening. Samuel, that's a correct idea. That is the correct idea. So I'm happy you know the setup and you're doing well. Anyway, are you on Lichess, Samuel? Are you on Lichess? Do you play on Lichess, the site? What chess website do you play? Are you a part of any chess club back there in Switzerland? Come on, tell me, share something. Oh, I was telling you, meanwhile, guys, queen to e5, queen to d6. Now, whichever way the queen goes, knight will be supporting the bishop, and position is really bad for black. So, black did not take the pawn. I think he did a good job there. In fact, he unpinned the knight, so that in the event of d5, black is free to move the knight. Bishop b5, knight takes pawn. Now this is interesting because the next move of white was king f1. Now I want you to tell me, why did white play king f1? There are two pieces. Let's take a look at it. There are two pieces, both the knights aiming for this fork. Suddenly, that comes as a big surprise actually. Both the knights aiming for that c7 square, or c2 square, not c7, c2 square. You cannot render support immediately for that. If you move the rook, well, still there will be that check. Let's not forget now that bishop on b5 is also attacked twice and defended twice. So he just played king f1 to save himself from that fork. Okay. So the answer is right in a way to move out of the fork. And now it is here that I would give you some time, or let's say a few moves later, not immediately. Knight takes b5, queen takes b4, e5, attack on the queen. Remember, discovered attack. Always ask yourself, what did my opponent play last? What was the logic? So important, so important. And now queen to c4, knight takes c3, Now here, queen takes c3 is simply bad. I'll tell you why it's bad. Because there's bishop b5 check. Let's say if knight blocks it, queen d1 is mate. Queen d1 is checkmate, guys. End of story. If you were wondering how that will be made, well, this is the mate. Now, let's take a look at what happens if the king moves for this check. Now you have bishop b4. Guys, can you see the sacrifice here? Why? Bishop b4? What kind of move is that? Who plays that? This is such a difficult move to see. Bishop b4 is difficult to see. Soumitra says, I saw that. You're talking about this move or you saw queen d1 check? A little confused about that. Yeah, that's right. He did say that. King f1 is a new castle. Let me show you now. The queen is pinned, by the way, for those who are saying that let the queen just move, not accept the sacrifice. Well, the queen is pinned here. So let's say queen takes b4. What's so great about this? Whoa, there's queen d3, man. There is queen d3, man. And now the threat is, let's say knight's the defender of this checkmate. That's good news. Let's give some move to bite here. Let's say bishop to g5. f6. Queen f1. King d2. Guys, let's see if you see. How far can you see now? White to play from this position. I'm going to wait here. I'm going to wait at this point. White to play here. How far do you see now? Type the line from this position. From this position. Oh, black to play. I beg your pardon. Not white to play. I beg your pardon. Black to play here. How many moves more do you see here? Black to play. You're above 1400. Try to type the entire line. Let's improve your calculation skills here. Black to play here. Soumitra says it's made in 2. Yeah. Made in 2, really? King c3 and queen d3 mate. Is that so simple? Yeah, of course there are flop moves, by the way. Queen blocking is the flop move. What about king c2? King c2, then queen d3, king c1, queen d1. Datta also with the line. Well, that's nice. Your skills are increasing. By the way, for those who are thinking, should we long castle or should we just play the rook to d8? Both are right. Both are right. So if I were in this position, I would definitely long castle and mate. Be much better. If king c2, then queen d3 check. I think the forced move here is king c1, forced move. OMG, and then queen d1 is checkmate. The other flop moves after this check are for the white to give the queen away. Rook d6, king c2, queen d3 check, king c1, queen d1 mate. The other flop move would be queen to e4, rook takes d4 check, king c2, same, queen d3, same idea. That's it. So after queen d3, white played bishop to d2, and it was checkmate because of this. Now this is something that happens in bullet games a lot. Guys, you should notice this situation. Such a harmless looking move, bishop d2, suddenly takes away the only square where the white king could have escaped. All of a sudden, mate delivered coolly and calmly. Unbelievable, this game ended this way. White was very sure he wanted to avoid the mate on e2. So he kept the knight on g1. Sure, he wanted that. But then bishop to d2, and you suddenly realize that you have stopped the king from going to the only escape square that it could have had. And happens a lot in bullet games, in ultra bullet games. This is crazy. And you will relate to this. Now tell me if such a thing, in fact, in fact, you might have also done this maybe in ultra bullet. Let me be honest, I have done such things. When the time is less, you want to play something, but in a bit to be quick on time, you yourself, put yourself into some big trouble, and you make such moves. Happens a lot. Game number 3, by the way, and now we will flip the board again to white's perspective. This one is the Sicilian Defense Open game. You would love this. Pretty much the theory. Everything is theory. This is also theory. And it is here now that white decided, at this point, white decided that, okay, now I'll play something different. It is now time for me to play the initiative and tempo style. E5 is the move here. The idea is very simple, attack the pinned piece more. And if pawn takes pawn, then it is queen takes queen, and things don't look great. Let me tell you that. Let me show you the line quickly. If pawn takes pawn, assuming it's free, first to take the queen, there's no doubt about that. Force move is king takes d8. And now you can either long castle or play f3 even. King c7. I don't know. I wouldn't play black in this position. Anyway. Black played queen a5. Now this is something interesting, guys. Queen a5 is not a blunder. If you are thinking, sir, he just overlooked pawn takes knight. Well, I think you have overlooked that if that happens, then our bishop is also hanging. Guys, these are interesting things you should see. So queen a5 is not exactly bad here. Rupak has had his exam. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Itesh says, I gave my queen in ultra bullet and then mate with bishop and rook. My goodness. My goodness. I'll take a look at some of your games, Itesh. Big fan now. Continue with this. Bishop b5. Now, what a move this is. What a move this is. This is called interference. We studied this. Line opening, line closing. Something we talked about the last week. This is line opening, line closing, by the way. I'm sure you remember that. Interference actually came as a word from you guys. I was talking about it and referring to it as line opening, line closing. Now this one is a good move because, of course, the queen cannot take because it's knight's support there. Pawn takes, and now you can take. And suddenly there's no bishop that's hanging there. I like that. How did black continue here? He took, white took, b4, and now queen f3. Awesome. Pawn took the knight. Now what's the winning move here? Queen c6 check. Black had not thought that it's a train that stops at all stations. I repeat, well, that was some line there. Black did not think that it's a train that stops at all stations. Black just had thought that I'll take the knight Then he will take my rook. And I will take the pawn on b2. That will be a discovered check by the queen. Okay. And this is something that is extraordinary. A train stopping at all stations. So the queen won't take the rook. And you see the end here. Let's see if you can see the ending here. Guys, this is very important. Let's see if you can find out a meaningful line here. It is black to play here. And is it the king d8 move, or is it the bishop d7 move? This is interesting. Very, very interesting. How does black play here now? Does he play king d8, bishop d7? And if yes, then what are the ways? What happens for white? How does he win from here? Don't forget that black is looking at a discovered check. C takes b2 is a very bad check. Very bad, I mean, for us. I mean, the pawn will just take the rook and promote, man. So black has c takes b2 all planned. Datta's line is bishop d7, queen takes a8 check, queen d8. Queen takes d8 check, king takes d8, f takes g7. Then he has bishop e7. Okay, quite a line there. Bishop d7, f takes g7. What about king d8? King d8, f takes g7 is winning. Let me show you what happened here in the game. King d8 was played. F takes g7 happened. Poor fellow. This is a check. The king has nowhere to go really. Notice that. Helplessness. And it is made by under promotion. Guys, made by under promotion. How about that? Some comments. Of course, I promoted to a queen here. But made by under promotion is stunning. All the times when it happens, made by a pawn, smothered made by under promotion. It's so bad. Let's take a look at what happens the other way. After this check, if bishop d7, the things are definitely bad, because then there is this. Notice again how this bishop, even like the last game, the bishop's really not letting his majesty move. The bishop is causing all the problems. Even in the last game we saw that. Big problem. Hey, Soumitra is saying I smothered mated a 2100 plus player. Now that's what I'm talking about, Soumitra. Please tell me when did that happen so that I can go in your profile and look at that game. Soumitra, please tell me when did that happen. In this game now, bishop c8. Is that good? Another free piece? So in fact, better is than queen takes d8. Why not do that? Queen takes d8, king takes d8, f takes g7 is a check. Disaster in the waiting. Let's give black some move here. Bishop. Queen check. Bishop blocking it. Bishop takes e7 check, king takes e7. Queen takes c3, let's not forget that pawn. f5. Long castle. I just want you to calculate the checkmate from the right point, guys. If seniors are wondering why, what is the need even for us to, now take a look at it, I'll tell you why, don't worry. From the right point, I want you to calculate the mate here, okay? Okay, I think I can stop at this point here. White to play and find out the winning sequence. Take about 2 to 3 minutes from this move. I know black is completely lost. Don't tell me that. I want seniors now to calculate. Let's see. Imagine this is a bullet game and you have to finish it fast. Yes, you have rook and two rooks and a queen. The entire move, please. Dishan is saying I mated 2104 in rapid. Dishan, that's awesome. Congratulations, Dishan. Many congratulations. The entire line, please. Question I have in my mind is that is there a forced checkmate? Don't tell me that you're planning for a checkmate. Chinmay is saying f4, and if we play f4, queen e5 checkmate is unstoppable. Let me talk a little bit on that. Chinmay is saying that if we play f4 here, this mate is just unstoppable. But Chinmay is forgetting that the bishop can move to some other square and therefore giving His Majesty a square to move. Chinmay, have you thought of that? Any thoughts on that, Chinmay? If you play f4, black will move the bishop and the king will have the g6 square to move. That's why I paused at this right time here. So f4 is not unstoppable mate or something. Let's see how many of you can do that. Grant Utekar with some puzzle for us in the chat. Queen C hashtag degree. Grant, by the way, just hopefully you were there from the start of this live stream. I was talking about you guys keeping constant IDs and not creating new ones. See to it that there is honesty. See to it that you play with full integrity and morality. The game is bigger than everybody else. Guys, let me now tell you, the seniors have been thinking for too long. I have one more game to show you before we end the session. It is a forced checkmate in 3 moves here. 3 moves, guys. And take this as a good lecture experience, because I'm telling you, when there is time crunch, such tricks will really, when you have seen such things on the board, it helps. Let me assure you, it helps when you have seen such tricks on the board. So no point playing 10 moves just quickly here and there. The best moves are here. Queen d8 is how you start this sequence with mate in 3 moves. Well, now it's not about black could play this, black could play that. It's not like that. Why do I say that? Because the move is forced. This move over here, king e5, is forced. Now please be honest, if you saw this line queen d8 check, and if you saw, but then if you did see this and you didn't type it. So king e5 is forced. Can you see the next check here? Rook d3. Soumitra, I'm afraid rook d3 is not right. This is why rook e1, Rupak Gokhale is saying rook e1 check, and that is correct. Rook e1 check is correct. Rook e1 check. Again, why am I in love of such moves? Because it calls for forced moves. Here again the king f4 move is forced. And now it is up to you whether you want to checkmate with the rook or you want to checkmate with the queen. At least go ahead and type that quickly. There are 2 ways to checkmate here now. You can checkmate with the queen, you can checkmate with the rook. It is totally up to you. Is g3 checkmate? Granth Utekar has really gotten excited. Rook d3. Vihang, rook d3 is not even a check. I'm sure you meant rook d4. Vihang, what are you typing? I think rook d4 is what you're saying. I think rook d4. Anyway, yes. The move is if you want to play mate with the queen, then it is queen h4 checkmate. Oh, what a checkmate that is. If you want to checkmate with the rook, then it is rook d4 checkmate. Amazing. Just beautiful. Okay, moving on to the last game for today. From the black perspective, so let me flip the board. It is e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. And you are going to love this because it is an answer to the fried lever attack. After this game, you will double dare white to do this fried lever trick with you. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this is incredible. The best way to respond to this. Now, after this game, you will really love it if white tries this against you. You know, you double dare, play that. Bishop c5, knight takes f7, and at the moment looks like what is exactly going on here. This looks completely lost. Bishop takes f to check. Crazy, crazy, crazy game. King takes f2. Knight takes e4 check. King to g1. Guys, queen h4 threatening queen f2 checkmate. So one of the two pieces that was in fork has now been released. It's tough. This is tough. Queen to stop that checkmate. Rook f8. The other piece also has been released and released with a pin. Shooing the knight away. Did that knight go? Yes. Today's lesson, attack the pinned piece more. The knight did not just attack the pinned piece more, it also attacked another piece is also the defender. So the next move, bishop to b3, I think was called for. This was called for. But then there was this knight d4 move. But white thought that maybe I'll take the knight because you know the principle, check comes first. Somebody taught you that. I taught you that. Black played c takes d6. Time to do something about the queen there. What can you do there? What can be done here? Let's say if queen e2, then knight d4, queen d1, save the c2 pawn, queen f2 is checkmate. If there is queen d1, queen f2 checkmate. White had to play queen takes f8 here. King takes f8. Now the threat here is queen e1 checkmate, and therefore bishop d2. Crazy, right? Knight d4. Crazy, but look at this check. Not looking great at all. Knight to c3. Knight takes c2. Rook check, king e7, rook f7 check, king e8, rook takes g7, and here b6 is not good for black, although he is winning. Let me give some token moves. I want to show you something. Just hold on. I want you to go for a checkmate calculation here. Oh yeah. King f6 is good here, right? Threat is bishop b7 check. Let me arrive at that point, guys. There is a reverse checkmate I want you to calculate. We are coming to that point now. Reverse checkmate. So how difficult is winning a one position, huh? Okay, this is that position. This is that position. Probably I'll flip the board because now it has become white to play and find the checkmate in 3 moves here. We have 5 minutes to end. Find out. It's a reverse checkmate from winning position to a losing position. Black has a queen, all right. He played this game very well, smashing the fried lever. But down the line, he has gone wrong. And now it is counterplay for white. And here white is winning. So I flipped the board for you. And I want you to give it a thought and tell me checkmate in 3 moves here. Let's see. Vyang is right. Amit sir actually showed a lot of variations with this bishop c5 move. Amit Pandey sir, absolutely right. Vyang is absolutely right about this. So let's see if you can find out this one. Guys, give me the entire line. Made in 3. Made in 3 moves here. So Amitra, I think, is the first to share the answer, he's saying. He's saying rook g5, king h6, rook f6, queen g6, and knight f5 checkmate. I think that is the right answer. Chinmay has also got it. Fantastic. That is the right answer. Let me show it to you quickly on the board. It is indeed rook g5 check with the pawn. King h6 is forced. Rook f6 check. The king has no more moves left, so queen has to block it. No need to take the queen here. You can just play knight to f5 and end of story. Well, this doesn't look a pretty picture. The way black started it, he was almost the favorite to win, and in the middle game he smashed that fried lever attack. Unfortunately, it got reversed. It's a tournament game, so I mean, when I looked at this game the first time, I was clearly thinking about Samartha Nijapkar here. Because the moment you count him out, those who are thinking knight g8, there's rook takes g8. The moment I saw this game, actually, I was thinking about Samartha. So just to tell you that never, drop your guard. It's very important. And now for some announcement before we stop the session. Number one, send your answer papers by EOD. I've already said that. Number two, Omkar sir probably will share his feedback with me, and I will share the feedback with you about the papers and the best performance and so on. You won't be given marks for this. He will assess the papers, but don't worry. The point is, he will not be very strict on correction, because this is a little different than the clearance test. So don't worry about your level. By the way, do remember your level when the hub reopens. It's been almost a year now. So remember your level. Another thing is, now our next lecture for the above 1400 batch is on Thursday. And on Thursday, I play games with you. So it is 3+2 challenge, because it's the above 1400. So something that I used to do on Tuesday is what will happen on Thursday. So the next lecture, I'm playing with you 3+2 on leeches. Prepare yourself, prepare against me. It will be fun. Absolutely. So Mitra is saying I'm level 2. Yes, that's because he used to visit the hub from Pune. Am I not right? That's the reason, right? Otherwise, you are way beyond level 2. You should be in level 6 or 7. But exams are exams. When you do come down to the hub, I'll probably ask you to give level 3 and 4 in one go. Vihang is level 7 if I'm not wrong. Vihang can say what level he belongs. I think Vihang is level 7. Disan, I did not get your question paper. You must have sent me your answer paper. So I'll take a look at it. Yeah, Vihang is level 7. And I believe there are some people who are level 7 practical. Very important. Level 7 practicals. How many of you are like, I think Samartha and Sanchit are of that level. They've given the 7th level, but they are doing the practical or something like that. Anyway, so Thursday we will meet. We are going to play game 3+2 casual challenges. All those who are wishful of playing, be there on time. 6 o'clock will start. Okay. Tomorrow's lecture shall be for the under 1400, and I'm going to continue the opening pitfalls for them. So seniors, you can invest your time in some tournament tomorrow. You've been doing remarkably well. By the way, special mention for Chinmay. His performance of 2000 plus yesterday was simply awesome. Simply awesome. By the way, next week I will let you know as to what Monday it will be when Omkar sir will be playing. This will be the first time he will play for 12 rounds. So I will take a special permission from him, and his availability on Monday, I will let you know. So we'll stop for now. Yeah, head to head we will sort out the timing, and the head to head will be interesting because all the above 1400 are in one batch, all the under 1400 are in one batch, so there will be less time needed to find the people who will go head to head. Sure, we'll do that. So we'll stop for now, we'll meet on Thursday. Take care, bye bye.